There are 5 things new managers can do to end death by meeting. What is one of the number one things people hate about the workplace? Meetings. But that's because they're not productive. They're not being strategic. So this video is going to help you be more strategic as a new manager and running that first meeting or whatever number of meetings that you're running. And make sure you stay tuned because I've got a complimentary little tool, little guide for you later on in this video. So buckle up and let's get going. You can tell I love the Badgers, right? That's one thing about me. I love the Wisconsin Badgers. But we're not here to learn about the Badgers, right? We want to figure out how to run better meetings. Well, here's some ways to contact me. We can certainly have a conversation about it whenever you choose to. And there's a little tip on where to get the gift that I have for you later on. But again, how to run meetings as a new manager. Meetings are a huge challenge. And I've seen my share of great meetings and I've seen my share of, not so great. So let's take a look. What are we going to look at? First of all, you're going to have to define the purpose of your meeting. Seems silly, seems simple, but it's important. Prepare an agenda. There are some specific things that you need to do in setting up your agenda. You have to engage participants. That's a critical part of being a new manager in your first meeting or any meeting. Get done early. Let's talk about how that might work. And the end is never the end. The end isn't the end. So if you need proof about this and you want to get away from the meeting that's in this picture, look at some of the proof that says meetings are deathly. 71% of senior managers said meetings are unproductive and inefficient. Even if that's half true, it's horrible. And 63% of meetings are conducted without a pre-planned agenda. Yes, it takes extra work on the front end, but the results on the back end will be well worth the effort. So do you need help with running meetings? I think this evidence proves that you certainly do. So let's step into the first one right away. Let's not wait anymore. Define your purpose. So is your meeting about achievement or activity? Is it cool because you can tell your boss, your new boss, if you're a new manager, yeah, we had 5 meetings this week. Well, what are you accomplishing? What are you achieving in those meetings? So make sure you have a clear understanding of what your purpose is. So you're not just doing things to do things, that you're really looking to achieve. What is the objective? This full staff meeting we have every other Monday morning at 9 a.m. to 10:30. The objective is this: A, B, C, X, Y, Z, whatever the case might be. List the objective or objectives for that meeting. So everybody knows why they're going there. Everybody can be prepared, and it's not going to be a waste of time. Even if you spend 15 minutes of it just gabbing, I mean, that's fine too, right? But people know up front what to expect. And then you want to have engaging communication. Sometimes you have to ask questions. Sometimes you have to nudge. Sometimes you have to pull. Sometimes you have to push. Sometimes you have to create tasks. Maybe you have to ask questions that everybody answers and everybody can share to get that communication going. Because sometimes we ask and only the people that raise their hands we talk to, and then we've got people sitting there who are doing nothing during the meeting. Well, do some activities, do some things that will help engage those people. And again, a trick I like to use is when I ask a question, I have everybody write down an answer, or if we're brainstorming, multiple answers, so we can get to the best solution and we can get everybody engaged in the meeting. Another little tip, no charge for that one. Let's look at the second item, prepare an agenda. Yes, prepare an agenda. The agenda should say the time, the leader, the topic, and what's the end game. So this particular item is going to run from 12:10 to 12:20. Todd Kukan's going to be the leader, or Susie Smith, or whoever. Here's what the topic is and what's the end game. And really the end game has to do with one of these 3 things. Is it a decision? Is it discussion? Or is the item, the topic, information? And you know what? Think about it. If it's information, why not just email some information out, right? So people don't have to sit in the meeting. They can spend as much time as they need to on that information. But certainly you want to determine whether it's the decision or discussion. So people know when they walk into the room what the expectation is. Now, it doesn't mean that if you don't come to a decision, it's horrible, or that if you talk about discussion and you come up with a decision, that's not bad either. But at least people know how to prepare and how to come in the meeting and get ready for that. And the third item is warm up and wrap up. The warm up, why not talk about a leadership topic? Why not talk about how to be a better listener, how to communicate better, how to build a team, how to handle change, how to solve problems, how to bake a cookie, right? A cookie recipe. Maybe that's part of your warm up. But instill in your leaders, in your team, in the people that report to you, that leadership is important. So include that as part of your agenda. And then the wrap up on the other end, we'll talk more about that, but making sure that you end the meeting with at the correct time, and maybe even, oh, sorry, gonna have to hang on. The best deal only today is, all right, I've got a QR code here. If you want to scan that in your phone, you can type in toddkukan.com/guide, and I've got a free leadership guide for you. Some more information on how to improve and enhance your leadership ability. So feel free to contact me. You can also reach out to me, by the way, on LinkedIn and Facebook. I do a lot of posting, and my profile's, fairly up to date. But let's get out there. Let's connect. Number 3, engage participants. How are you going to engage participants? Well, first you have to create the environment where it's safe. You as a leader have to be vulnerable. You have to be authentic. You have to have integrity. You have to build that trust so people know, like, and trust you. And it's all about creating that environment, making sure we're not ridiculing, we're not using sarcasm, we're not calling out people in a negative way, that people feel it's a safe environment, a safe place to be when they're in that particular meeting. Make sure that you allow for constructive conflict. If someone challenges somebody, that's great. That means you have trust in your organization. That's how you get through the roadblocks and challenges, by having that constructive or positive conflict where people can challenge each other on what they're saying or what their idea is without there being any sort of a threat or negative feeling or negative vibe that goes on there. It all relates and connects back in to creating that environment. And one thing that I'll do, if it's a particularly important decision in a meeting, I'll go around the room and I will ask each person, because how many times have you been in a meeting and somebody says, all right, does everybody agree with that? And you see these bobbleheads, everybody's nodding their head. Yes, I agree. Yes, I agree. Well, maybe they don't. And maybe they don't have the type of personality style, the type of disc personality style where they want to share things. I'm an I personality style, so I'm going to share. I'm going to be out there. D styles, they're driven, they're dominant, they're going to plow through things. But sometimes the S's and C's aren't as willing to share things. But regardless of the style, go around the room and ask each person. And they don't have to be 100% in agreement. That's probably never going to happen. But make sure they're at least 85% in agreement with whatever decision's been made, and go around. How do you feel, Tom, Sue, Bill, Jack, John, Chris, whatever the case might be, and ask people. And that gives them their chance to make sure that they've gotten through all the thoughts in their mind about whether it will or won't work. And they're going to maybe have to give in a little bit more because you're going to move through with this decision. Get done early. Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be great if meetings got done early? Well, they should never go over the designated time. If your meeting runs from 12:05 to 12:55, then it starts at 12:05 and ends at 12:55. I don't care. That's period. That's it. Whether it's Zoom, whatever the case might be, because then you'll train your people. That's when it starts and stops. And I kind of like to use these times because people rarely get to meetings at 12 o'clock. So say 12:05 and end a little bit before one, so they have time to get back to their desk for their 1 o'clock meeting. Don't run right up against other meetings. It gives people time to travel in between. And maybe it needs to be a 90-minute or 2-hour block, with 5 or 10 minutes, however you need to set it up to make it so that it will be a success and you have a chance of getting done early. Stick to the agenda. You created this agenda with time and who's responsible, the topics, is it going to be decision, discussion, whatever. Stick to the agenda. If you have 10 minutes allotted for a topic, then spend 10 minutes on that particular topic. And if you don't get it done, then push it forward to the next meeting. Or maybe you need to have a separate meeting on that topic because there was such great discussion. But whatever you do, you have to adjust your schedule, your agenda, so that you're done early or on time in the worst case scenario. And get agreement. Let's say this discussion is going well. You could say, well, we have this agenda item we're going to discuss. It's something we don't need to think about really for another month or two. Should we push that to our next meeting and add that 10 minutes to continue discussing the topic that we're on, and get general agreement from people? There's ways to handle this that you can make a meeting not death by meeting. That's a book that Patrick Lencioni wrote, right? The end isn't the end. So when it's 12:55 or whatever time your meeting ends, that's not the end. What are the key decisions you've made? Make sure you summarize those. Who's responsible for leading the actions on those decisions? Be very specific. So everybody walking out of that meeting knows what their specific assignment is. And then finally, build the agenda for the next meeting. Again, if you didn't get some things done, you have to push some things forward. Maybe you have to build an agenda for, again, a totally separate meeting. Maybe you need to bring in some people from other departments, whatever the case might be. But you can start building your agenda for the next meeting with the meeting you just conducted. It's not rocket science, but it's really helpful. It really gets your team. So maybe you'll see your team applauding at the end of the meeting rather than their hands in their faces in their hands with tears in their eyes, drooling on their agendas because nothing got done in a timely fashion. So how do you run an effective meeting? Well, here they are. And is that it? No, that's not it. There's a lot more that we can talk about in terms of running a meeting, but these are some of the main tips. Reach out to me again, right? And I really want to thank you for being a part of this. Make sure you use the QR code, jump on that complimentary leadership guide that I've got for you. You can go to my website, toddkukan.com/guide. It'll be there for you. Again, I'm all over, so make sure you reach out to me and get your meetings taken care of so they're not so painful. Have a great day.